What up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you Saturday morning on the way into work. Going to talk about a few football games today that are on the slate. This is week number 10 of the college football season. Can't believe that. It just seems like yesterday I was making videos during the summertime talking about records and predictions for each team's season, and now here we go. No picks against the spread this week, guys. Quite frankly, didn't have time to do it. Honestly, the long videos I make are on Sunday afternoons before the lines come out most of the time, or if they come out, they've just come out, and I haven't really had time to ascertain any of them. And I honestly had no time during the evening this week to do anything except put together a short video on the Georgia-Florida game, and that's basically it. So I will pick back up next week if possible. If not, I hope you understand. I mean, life is life. I mean, you got to go to work, you know, and that can be very time-consuming to try to research all these out, but I do enjoy doing it. So if I have the time to do it, I'll definitely get it together. Last week, I did them like on the fly, and they're horrible. I don't even know what the record was. I still haven't tallied it up yet. I plan on doing that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow afternoon. But if they weren't good. They weren't good at all. I'll just go ahead and say that. A lot of surprises, and then a lot of ones I should have done better on. Anyway, getting into what's going on today in the college football world. There's not a whole lot of excitement today, but there are some decent games out there. Of course, the Battle of the Sunshine State, I guess you would call it today. I don't know what it's called. Miami at Florida State. Everybody that I've seen make a college football video this week, and I've watched some at nighttime while I'm sitting down eating my fast food or whatever it is, because you know I weigh about 700 pounds, has talked about, you remember when this game used to really mean something? You know, I mean, okay, one person said it was funny. You know, 500 people say the same thing. It's not funny anymore. Still means something to those players. Yeah, they have, both teams are not what they used to be. We'll agree on that. But I believe that Florida State has improved somewhat this season, steadily. And I believe that they are the better team here. If I just had to look at both of them side by side, Miami has the ability to be a decent team. They have a really good team defensively. They have struggled moving the ball, however. It doesn't really matter who they put in there at quarterback. It just hasn't worked out for them really well. This game, the line is 3 points. Florida State favored by 3. It was 6.5 or 6, I think, when it opened up. And in this pick'em group I'm in, that's what we used, the opening line. So I picked Miami to cover because I think it's going to be a really close game. But if the line were 3, I'd have to lean the way of Florida State. I think they win by about 4 points. I think they're the better team, but I don't think they're that much better than Miami. And it is a rivalry game. It is at Florida State this year, so that gives them just a little bit of an edge. Someone I listen to quite frequently talk about college football brought up something interesting the other day, and he said that you know, I think that Miami's team started to go downhill when they left the Orange Bowl. And I had to think back. I'm like, sir, the last game they played in the Orange Bowl, they lost like 58-14 to Virginia, a bad Virginia team. So no, I don't think that had a lot to do with it. I think that they stopped cheating, and they just haven't been able to figure out how to win without doing so. Sorry. Reality's reality. But I think Florida State wins that ball game just for the fact that it is in Tallahassee, that it's going to be a close one, be a good contest. Doesn't really have a lot of bearing on anything in the ACC anymore. It's just more of a pride thing than anything else, and I think that whichever team wins will at least still have a shot at a bowl. I think Florida State's got a little bit better of a shot right now than Miami does. But Miami is just really Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, one week they're out beating Virginia, or they're upsetting Pittsburgh on the road, and the next week they're losing to Georgia Tech. You don't know what you're gonna get. Those guys. Utah is on the road at Washington this afternoon at 4 o'clock. I hope to be able to watch most of that. Well, I think that'll be a really good game. Utah is a good team defensively, and as long as that quarterback Tyler Huntley is okay and he's ready to play, I believe that they will take this one. They've just been more consistent than Washington this year. They've lost one game. It was to USC Trojans. That was kind of an anomaly. I don't really know what happened there. But they've been pretty solid, gotten some decent wins this year. They haven't really won any marquee games, but they've done what they have to do. And I think Utah are going to win this game. They're going to cover the spread. I see anywhere from 7 to 10 points. Washington's still a good team offensively. They can still move the ball with Jacob Eason. I think Utah has just got a little bit too much for them. Where I found out about Tyler Huntley, it says he should play in this game today. There's a website out there, and I just happened to find it. I don't know if any of you people have looked at it. It's called Don Best. Is a gambler in Las Vegas, whatever. Handicaps football games, Major League Baseball, whatever. It's donbest.com. If you go to donbest.com, click on NCAA football, you can click on injuries, and it will pull up a list of all the injuries for each team in major college football. And it will tell you whether they're questionable, they're out for the season, what's wrong with them. And it's been pretty accurate. Everything on there has been pretty accurate. The only slip-up that I saw was he listed that our defensive end, DJ Wanham, was out with whatever injury it was. Which it's in fact not. It's his brother Dylan Wanham, the offensive lineman. So if he made a mistake there may be other mistakes somewhere else. But for the most part, what I've seen lines up with everything I've seen. So maybe go check that out. It looks like some good information. And not surprisingly, when I looked at the South Carolina Gamecocks list, it's one of the largest in college football. There are players on there that have been on there all year long that Coach Muschamp keeps telling you will be back next week. A.J. Turner, for one. I haven't seen the kid play a down all year long, but he's supposed to be back next week. They're supposed to be back next week. I mean, it's the same thing. And also, not surprising, Clemson has like 5. And don't go out there and say, well, he's mad because Clemson don't have no injured players. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's the same cycle that repeats itself year in, year out. That we are always a beat-up, injured team. This year, we have a lot more injuries at the skill positions than we've had in the past. Normally, our injuries have been on the defense and then with the offensive line. This year, it's skill position. Ryan Helinski, there's still something wrong with that kid. You can't convince me that there's not. But anyway, getting away from that, I think Utah wins and covers in that game. What else is out there? Kansas State. That's the battle of the Sunflower State. Kansas State's only favored by 5 here. It's on the road at Kansas. This is one of those that's kind of like, I think Las Vegas wants you to do something here. They're trying to trick people. They're not tricking me. I think Kansas State's a better football team. I think they'll win that game and cover the spread there. They can say, well, Kansas almost beat Texas. Yeah, they almost beat Texas. They also lost to Coastal Carolina. Well, they also lost to, TCU by a lot. So, yeah, I think Kansas State's a better football team here and that they'll win that football game. Let's see. Is it USC taking on Oregon? Does Oregon travel to USC? That could be tricky. It could be tricky. USC's not a terrible football team. Not great. But Oregon got the inside track there to the Pac-12 North. I think they'll win it, and I think they'll cover. They didn't cover against Washington State. So I think they'll be looking to bounce back and get a better effort there. You have Indiana, the Hoosiers at home. The surprising 6-2 Indiana Hoosiers at home against Northwestern. They're 10-point favorites against Northwestern. I keep on picking Northwestern to cover a spread all year long just because they have won one game this year, and I'm asking myself, when are they going to do something crazy and upset somebody? Or when are they going to keep a game close that they shouldn't? And I don't know. I just don't think that it's going to happen this year. I just don't think it's going to happen. Give me Indiana to cover. I just think Northwestern is just bad this year. It happens. Virginia taking on North Carolina. That should be a good one. North Carolina's 2-point favorites at home. Remember when Virginia was supposed to run through the schedule except for the Notre Dame game and win the ACC Coastal? Yeah, me too. It hadn't happened that way, though. They lost last week at Louisville. What are you doing? What are you doing? Lost to Miami. What are you doing? So this would be it, I believe, if they lose this one. Winning the ACC Coastals, I don't know. I mean, the ACC Coastals, like, you throw everything into a blender and just, I mean, so who knows who's going to come out on top there. I think at home, I would say UNC will win this game. You haven't convinced me that Virginia is that much better than anybody, really. And which makes the fact that my South Carolina Gamecocks lost to them 28-0 just even more indicative of the fact that we are a crap show. Who else? Who else is out there? Clemson takes on Wofford today. They're 47-point favorites from what I've seen. Who knows? I mean, it's cold today. That may play into it a little bit. It'll probably be warmed up somewhat by game time. It's cold this morning. We're like 39 degrees right now. I think Clemson will cover here. I just don't see Wofford being able to stop them defensively. I just don't, and they're not going to be able to move the ball and score more than 7 points on Clemson. They're just not. It's hard to admit that, but once again, reality is reality. What else? Mississippi State's at Arkansas. I think Mississippi State's like a 7.5-point favorite. I'm pulling for Arkansas. Please get an SEC win. I just want to see them win an SEC game. I mean, I think that would be because I think Chad Morris is a good football coach. I just think it's a really bad situation he inherited there, and it's going to take some time. But my goodness, they need to win a conference game. They can't go 0-8 in the SEC 2 years in a row, can they? This is probably their last legitimate chance to win a conference game. Is South Carolina's not on their schedule, are they? Because, that'd be a chance. No, I'm just kidding. We're not on their schedule. We'd lose to them. Speaking of the South Carolina Gamecocks, they're 15-point favorites tonight against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Gotta tell you, I haven't watched Vanderbilt a whole lot this year. Just for whatever reason, they've been playing at the same time my Gamecocks have, or they've been playing during a time when there was a game that was more interesting to me that was on. And their look very schizophrenic, I guess. I mean, they went out and beat Missouri. I mean, that was a good win, and which I also told you that Missouri wasn't any good, and they proved me that Saturday when they lost to Vanderbilt. And then they turned around and lost to Kentucky like 2 weeks in a row. They also have lost to UNLV at home. UNLV, they lost to them and bad. And I'm not talking about the UNLV basketball team from 1991-92 with Stacey Augmon and what's his name? Used to eat towels on the sideline. Not that UNLV, the Running Rebels. I lost to UNLV, the football team, at home, bad. So I think they've been playing a couple of different. Well, coming up on an accident here. I'm going to slow down a bit. Ooh, that don't look good. How'd you run on that curb? This is kind of a spot. This kind of reminds me of that Kentucky game from about a month or so ago when South Carolina comes in against the team that you should beat. I think that Vanderbilt will have better quarterback play than what. That was one of the reasons why South Carolina won that game against Kentucky so easily, is because Kentucky's quarterback play was just absolutely pathetic in that game. That Sawyer Smith kid, he's gotten injured since then, but I mean, he was god awful. That's one of the worst performances I've seen by a quarterback. I'm not knocking anybody's quarterback because, I mean, God knows ours haven't been great, but it was bad. I don't see their quarterback playing that badly. And South Carolina won the game 24-7, and in fact, it should have been a lot more. You know, I look for them to bounce back. I think they'll cover that number, and I think they'll win that game at home pretty handily. I think they'll still have a decent crowd out there, despite the fact that weather might be a bit dicey and cold. You know, it's November. It's homecoming. I think that it's a night game at Williams-Brice. I think they'll win it fairly easily against Vanderbilt, even though, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I want my team to lose, but if they did, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it anymore. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'll just expect it, that it is what it is, but I think that they'll win the game and cover the spread. My football knowledge tells me that, okay? But like I said, if that's what it takes to get rid of Boom and his whole entourage, then so be it. And speaking of that, too, I look at some South Carolina Gamecock rooms sometime on Facebook, and I mean, it's laughable, some of the comments that some people are realists like myself, and they have resigned themselves to the fact that we are a bad football team and that we are not going to a bowl and that the future is not very bright under Will Muschamp. So I get to reading some of these comments. There are some people, you like to call them sunshine pumpers. There was a sunshine pumper who said something like, I don't remember any of you people complaining when we were beating Clemson 5 years in a row and we had Marcus Lattimore and Jadeveon Clowney on the team. If you stay positive, we will prevail. Believe in coach and his staff. Really? There was one difference between those teams and this team, or the teams under Muschamp. They won games! I mean, what else? That's what they're there to do. It's there to win games. Jeez Louise, and you're bringing up Marcus Lattimore, Jadeveon Clowney, and beating Clemson 5 years. That beating Clemson 5 years in a row, that seems so far removed and so far back in history right now that it's right back there with the time when people were riding around in Model Ts and watching silent movies. That seems how long ago that was. Okay, and it's not all the coordinators that he has. It's not just their fault. The defensive coordinator, Travarius Robinson, I believe is quite honestly is just a puppet who is there, and that Will Muschamp pulls the strings on that defense. And Brian McClendon, everybody talked about, he's a good offensive mind. He's a good young man. He's going to be a great head coach one day. He's going to run a high-octane offense. And I ain't seen none of that. And you know what? At the end of this season, you know what the damn sad thing is? It's a shame. He's going to get fired. He's going to lose his job. Okay, Kurt Roper lost his job a couple years ago, but he was sucked, okay? McClendon actually has a future. The reason why is because Muschamp is the one dumbing down that offense with the vanilla play calling, the bullcrap, conservative garbage. That's him. That is 100% all him. And Brian McClendon is going to be the scapegoat, and he's the one that's going to lose his job. And I'm not okay with it. I think it sucks. I say you fire Muschamp, fire his defensive coordinator, fire everybody else, and keep McClendon. Because the offense, yeah, it's bad, but it's not all the problem. It's the one that gave up 1 million yards to Alabama, and 1 million yards to a terrible Missouri team, and 1 million yards to even more terrible Tennessee team. So don't give me that garbage about Brian McClendon. Anyway, Carolina Jackpot, gonna get off here. I'll see y'all later. Appreciate it. Peace. I'm out.